Hi, my name's Ed with TradeServe, and I want to thank you for taking a moment to stop by our website today. If you'll stay with me on this video for just a few minutes, I'd like to share with you what TradeServe can do for your business. Now, we're a full line management software for your contracting business. There's some things that we do that every good software solution should do. We have a dispatching board, call counting, call scripting, managing your marketing dollars, making sure that you're spending them in the appropriate places. All those functions are vitally important to your business. But there's something that you might not have thought about that is the most critical, and it's where all of our revenue is generated. It's in the field. And so I'm going to ask you 3 questions that you might not have considered for your business. And then I'm going to answer those 3 questions for you and see how TradeServe could help you in your company. The first question is, how do you offer your customer choice? The second question, how do you coach and train and develop your technicians to offer choice? And third, and most important, how do you monitor or track that your technicians are actually doing what you've asked them to do and coached them to do? So how do you track your technicians? If you'll come with me, we'll go grab a cup of coffee and we'll get started on answering these questions. Thanks for joining me. I want to share with you a fascinating story about how a national coffee chain changed their business. And it has a lot to do with what we're talking about of how do you offer choice. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee and share with you this fascinating story. As I said, it had to do with choice. And when you walk into a place, do you want to feel like you're in a nice coffee shop or you're in a convenience store? What they had is they had 3 sizes of coffee. And they wanted to figure out a way to increase the sales of their large cup. And so there's a lot of things that they could do and they thought about. What are some things you think about in your business when you're wanting to increase your sales of a particular item? They could market it heavier, they could change the price. They did a lot of studying and research on that, and they came up with a fascinating solution, and it's very, very important to what we've been talking about today. What they did to sell more large cups of coffee was to simply create a larger cup of coffee. Now, how does this relate to our business? This works for a coffee shop. Sure, they have now a large cup of coffee. They've got 4 choices. It's given the customer more options. But why did this work by creating something larger than the one they wanted to sell? It has to do with what we're going to talk about in choice architecture. You're going to learn more about that in the webinar. The other thing that it does is it helps frame the price. You now have a large cup, so it frames the price on the top. You have a small cup and it frames the price on the bottom. And it creates what we would consider to be a bigger middle. So now a lot of people make their choice based on what's in the middle. And now the large cup becomes a more viable option to what they're wanting to choose. But again, this works great in a coffee shop. But how does this work in our businesses that are complex? There's hundreds of products and services that we offer. How can you do this in your business? And more importantly, how do you get this transferred into the field for your technicians? That's where all our revenue is produced, right? Well, what we've done at TradeServe, and you can't do it without it. We've tried. We've tried it with pen, with paper, and we've tried writing it down. It just doesn't work, and you may have experienced the same frustrations. By being able, in your office, to come up with a pre-designed plan, what you would like your technicians to be able to show in the field gives you the control, and it also then transfers to the technician and gives them a powerful tool so that they can take advantage of this choice architecture, they can take advantage of framing the price, and it gives the customer that feeling of control that they can choose anything they like. They can have their home fixed the way they would like to, or their business, wherever they're working, and it gives them the control that they want and they need to make the best decision on that day. The next question is, how do you tell if your technicians are offering them choice? Well, your technicians might just be offering them this, but you don't know. Well, what if they're just offering them this? Still not bad, there's 2 choices, but what if your technicians are just offering this choice and moving on to the next call? You don't have any way of telling currently in your business. With TradeServe, the ability to look back on that call, see exactly what's been done in the field. You don't have to be in the truck with them. You don't have to send a secretary along with them. You can see in the field from your computer in your office or on your iPad sitting on the beach in Cozumel exactly what your techs are doing, and then you can coach and develop and train and build your business. Right now, I've asked a friend of mine, Jerry. He's a general manager of a local plumbing and heating and air business, and they've been using TradeServe extensively in their business, and I've invited him in to share with us some of the things that TradeServe has done for their business, how they use it on a daily basis, and what it's really done for his company. So come on over, let's have a seat, and let's meet Jerry. So Jerry, I've asked you to come in today to talk to us a little bit about TradeServe and how you've used it in your business. And one of the things that we're talking about, the most important parts of it, is offering choice. Can you speak a little bit about how that's changed your business, the ability for your technicians to offer choice, and maybe some of the frustrations that you experienced trying to get them to do it without TradeServe?
Yes, we can. The struggles that we had over the past few years with paper and the price book and trying to get the technicians to always offer different options and choice to the customer, it was a stressor for the technicians. It was a stressor for us trying to train them and teach them to do that.
Right.
And then also for our customers. The importance of offering options, as far as the business, we have to be financially sound. The customers have to have some choice to feel better about their situation and their decision. And then with the technicians, it comes back to them in the form of pay, being able to offer the options.
All right. So speak a little bit about, if you wouldn't mind, sharing what were some of the things that you did with TradeServe that helped your technicians in the field? What were some things you did in the office that they were able to use that in the field?
It's amazing what we can do with the software, because we can build products, we can examine each one, we can look at the name of the product, the notes that go along with the product, the pricing, the warranty, all that information we can evaluate ahead of time. We can do the same thing with packaging, putting various products together and then being able to offer several products or several packages to each customer. And the technicians can do it with just a touch of a finger on the iPad and put together a package or options to offer the customer.
Okay. Now you mentioned something there about a package. What do you mean by we can offer them a package? How does, just briefly, what does that mean in your world?
There's several things that we can do. We can have a predetermined package, which we already do. Say for a toilet, we can have an extra seat that goes along with that, a quiet close seat, or emergency stop valve that goes along with that. Some different options all within that toilet package or that product.
Okay.
We can also put, through custom packaging, we can put different product lines together. We can actually package a toilet and a garbage disposal together if that's what the customer needs at that time.
Okay.
We can package several different toilets with several different garbage disposals and offer all of that to the customer and allow them to choose what works best for them.
So if there's multiple issues going on in the home, you can tailor various packages based on what that customer's needs are.
Absolutely.
So now we've talked a little bit about offering packages and options. Tell me what that's done for your business.
Actually, it's pretty incredible what it's done. The technicians are a lot more comfortable putting this together. Most of it's put together for them. They have the ability to put some other stuff together themselves. Right. And it makes it a lot easier for them. They don't have to carry around a pen and a paper and an invoice and the price book and everything that went along with that. They just have one simple tool that they use. It's predetermined for them in a lot of cases what they want to offer. The customers have received this very well. Being able to look at 4 or 5 different things and choose what they want,
okay.
They feel a lot better about their buying decision. As far as the company goes, we've actually seen a 21.4% increase in our average invoice.
Well, that's fantastic.
It is. Well,
how does that make you feel?
Pretty good. After actually 20 years of being in business, we've been increasing our business over time, but we've seen a real jump recently with the use of TradeServe. We actually had our best year ever this last year.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite an accomplishment. Let's talk a little bit about the culture. What has it done for your guys? I know you were telling me a story about in the mornings you used to have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. And now what's the shop look like when the guys are sitting around in the mornings?
You know, the morale's increased. The guys come in. Usually somebody brings in some food, or just in the morning, so just getting together and having a discussion, having a good time, and actually being excited to come to work and go out and serve our customers.
That's fantastic. That's a huge part, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Works hard enough is no fun, right?
Right.
That's right. Let's talk just briefly about you've coached the guys on how to offer packages. You've made packages in the office. They're able to make packages in the field based on the specific situation. But how do you know if they're doing it?
That's the great thing about this program. Actually, you can see real time what your technicians are doing.
While they're in the field?
While they're in the field. You can pull up the call that they're on. While they're there talking with the customer, you can see what they offered the customer. If they changed something on there, you can see that. How long they spent talking about that to the customer. We can see every step of that call along the way. And we can either, for the newer guys that are still learning that process, we can have them step outside, give us a call. We can coach them on site before they ever present the options to the customer.
Wow.
For the guys that are doing it on a regular basis, we can look at that as they're going through the call. We can look at it afterwards. We can sit down together, look at their calls. They can see what they did. We can see what they did, and we can discuss that and how to improve that.
So how many times have you been out in the truck with them in the last year?
Actually, it's been very little because I feel like I'm already in the truck with them. I can sit behind my desk in my office. I can view what every technician's doing, not just the one that I used to go with. I can be with all technicians all day long, every day, if I choose to do that.
That kind of brings me to my next question. You have the ability to monitor. You're able to see exactly what they're doing, what the options they've been offering. Tell me what that's done for your coaching with your guys. How has that dynamic changed, and how has that really kind of changed the culture of your relationship?
It's put a lot of relaxation into the coaching, just because we used to spend a lot of time actually trying to determine what we should offer a customer, could offer a customer, how to write that out, shortcuts for the techs to use, and all that's been basically taken care of at this point by the program that we have. And so now it's a little bit more into the in-depth, being able to connect to the customer, think about how the customers make buying decisions, talking about the emotions of the situation where they have a problem and we're there to help them. So we talk about building trust and choosing the options based on the customer's need. So there's just a lot more general information that we can talk about now, instead of down to the minute details of this is how you write this product out. So.
Another thing that I found fascinating that you shared with me about your coaching is from a technical standpoint. When you're in the coaching now, you're able to see what options they're offering. Have you found that as a master technician, as a master plumber, have you been able to impart more technical insight to them just by seeing what they're offering?
Oh, absolutely. I look at a situation and I think they could have offered this or that, and I talked to them about it, and they said, oh, I didn't even think about that. I didn't connect those two. And so not only the packaging and what the customer's needs are, but for me to be able to look at each one and as a technician, be able to determine what I would have offered in that case. And then we can talk about that and why, and we can teach them about the importance of not just talking about the water heater itself, because there's a water heater problem, but also the water pressure, the water quality, all the things that degraded that water heater to begin with and caused the problem.
Okay, fantastic. So you're not only able to just coach on the behaviors that they're doing in the field and are they doing it right or not, but you're also able to coach them on their technical skills and how they're getting better with that. So that's had to have changed everything. What a fantastic and powerful opportunity you've got there. So Jerry, we've been talking about a lot of things, and we've covered on how do you offer, or why do you offer options? How do you train your techs to offer options? And then how do you monitor your techs to make sure they're doing what you trained them? Just in a few words, few sentences, can you kind of wrap up for me what your feeling is and what TradeServe's done for your business, and just give us a few final points that might make sense to another general manager or service manager or business owner that's trying to make a decision if this would be the right program, if you will, or the right product for their company.
Well, as I mentioned, the importance of it is, for the technician, for the customer, for the company, everybody has to win. And so this is a program that allows us to do that. Being able to train them,
right.
The technicians have been hearing this information for a long time about packaging, offering options, and so it's not anything new. It's just a better way of doing it, an easier way of doing it, and they pick it up really quickly. Monitoring them, like we said, we're on every call with them. We can monitor that, follow up with them, train them, encourage them. When they do really well, and we encourage them. It's not always just learning new things. It's encouraging them for doing a good job.
Excellent.
And so some of the stories that we have with the technicians coming back to us, and they're excited. I did what you told me. We did this. I offered it this way, and the customer bought it, and they were happy about it, and they liked it. And so just that change in the whole atmosphere of the training and kind of the way we were pushing them before to do certain things. Now it's more of we're getting together, we're talking about it, and together we're deciding what we're going to do and how we're going to improve our business and improve our customers' lives.
Excellent, excellent. So you've had the best year you've ever had in 20 years of business. You've increased your average ticket by 21.4%, is that what you said?
21.4.
The culture in your shop is lighter and easier and better than it's ever been.
That's right, yeah.
So you're probably ready to go back to your paper book, aren't you?
Not at all.
Not at all? All
No.
right. Jerry, thank you so much for coming in. I just so appreciate it, and I wish you the best as you continue on with your business.
All right, thanks.
On behalf of the management team here at TradeServe, I'd like to thank you for spending some time with Jerry and me today, and I'd invite you to take a look around our website, schedule a demo, give us a call, and let's see how TradeServe can turbocharge your business.